Welcome to SCDA Season 13, Week 3 highlights. With me, as always, is Andy.
As always here.
And because of his subpar performance in the last 2 weeks, we had to replace Spades. So with us this week is Sweet Foe.
Hello.
And let's start with our match of the week, which comes from Great Ball. It's JF Warriors versus Speedy. Roll the game.
Spades.
Thank you for participating in this moment of silence for Spades.
Right.
You'll
Out from
remember him always
Speedy, the
forever.
Grafii and the Rotom get sent out on the field, and the Snow Lead with the Alola Tails and the Titan. With Slush Rush, the Titan is now the fastest thing on the field, and we see a switch out here from the Alola Tails, right? Terra Fire onto the Titan. However, Rain Dance comes out from Grafii, getting rid of that Slush Rush, and Rotom gets out of here. Don't want to be in that rain, and here comes the King Gambit.
Setting up the rain takes a lot of the pressure off of Speedy from this turn, and it seems like the Titan probably is not going to be in the best position, but JF Warriors seems to have been prepared. Let's continue that.
And a superpower coming out from the Titan, going into the King Gambit slot. Oh no, there it goes.
Explosive turn 1. The snow is gone, but hopefully, but still maintain a lot of the initiative by removing the biggest threat on the field, which was probably King Gambit.
Blast coming out of field, getting for the Terra Blast. Terra Water Spout, so much damage onto the opposing team, and the Sludge Bomb coming out, get a little chip, and now that Skull no longer in the rain does pitiful damage to the Grafii. And here we go, a Choice Scarf Blastoise over here. What can JF Warriors do to stop this?
Milotic honestly taking those hits pretty well, but it's going to be very hard for most of JF Warriors' team to be able to handle the pressure coming out. Ninetales going down means no more snow for this Titan, and this Blastoise is not going to be undersped the rest of this game. Can the Milotic hold on for long enough to actually put enough pressure and hopefully reduce the damage from these water spouts?
Perhaps a fake out can come in now from the Infernape if he brought the Infernape. If not, I don't see no answers coming out from JF Warriors.
It's a lot of pressure, and you don't even see that unless it's like a Scarf Garchomp, but no, Garchomp never stood a chance. Milotic's still on, but nope, not anymore.
We see the
That's
chip
it.
damage
That's just
coming in.
It's gonna be a Titan against, not a Titan, yeah, a Titan against the world. Terra Fire, no thick fat's gonna save you, even if it was running the ability.
And that's game.
And Grafire is
Sends us
slowly root the
into-
ace from Blastoise. That's incredible.
Sends us into game 2. Speedy with an obvious game plan. Now that JF Warriors know what Speedy's planning, but can he actually counter it? But it doesn't even look like he's doing the same game plan.
Changing up the leads over here, we've got the King Gambit instead of the Rotom, but now we've also got the Infernape. Fake out pressure coming out, so we'll stop that Blastoise momentarily, but the rain comes out, and no longer would we have the weather control from JF Warriors. Half of Grafia's that HP goes away, right? Forcing out the switch with the eject button over here, and we get the snow back up.
Close combating the Grafii, chipping it down to below half and getting it back off the field and calling the Protect on King Gambit, knowing that the Gambit was very unlikely to attack that turn, with both of Infernape's stabs doing super effective damage, and Speedy not wanting to commit the tear right away this first game, or the second game.
Not only that, but it wouldn't have done much towards the Milotic or the Infernape.
Now willing to commit the Terra.
And the Skull, do we see a burn? No burn. Now Encore and into the Protect, and it fails.
Ninetales being a really good mon to run that Encore move, having a being a very naturally speedy mon. Puts it in a good position, but trying to Encore. What did it try to Encore then again?
It encored into the Ninetales slot. However, the Ninetales swapped out, So no longer can the Ninetales be Encore, and it fails. Over here we see a protect from the Grafii, right? Protect us out from the fake out over here. If no prankster move comes up from the Grafii next turn, can be Encore by the Ninetales over here. Do we see it? No, but a switch,
Yeah.
but a force into a prankster move just not to get Encore, but with the beautiful synergy of that Blastoise coming back in, preparing to get revenge KOs if the Grafii gets KO'd here.
Blastoise's pressure in the previous game was absolutely unstoppable, but then we see the Terra Electric Milotic. Well, it's still
Can a
going to take more damage.
Can a
Can it
Terra Blast
actually-
kill a Blastoise here?
That's a lot of damage, even with the crit. Misses the KO.
But crucially over here, destroying that damage output from the water spout, forcing Blastoise to either switch out or get KO for a free switch.
Very little damage will be able to come out of this Blastoise now that it's been hit with that, and it's locked into Scarf Water Spout. Probably it's sitting at less than 10 base power. Taking it
The
out,
switch is forced
hopefully
out
it'll
here.
come back to more damage.
Perfect fake out into the Rotom, calling Protect on the Grafii slot.
Giant Warriors has been calling these protects very consistently. Not trying to overpredict when it's not necessary, but been doing a good job preventing those turns on those fake out turns, especially from being used against him.
Once again, Encore into the switch out. It's gonna fail over here, and no thick fat, but it survives that overheat and heals right back up with its Citrus Berry.
The Rotom can just go right back and do it again. Being able to click 2 overheats on the same switch and is really nice.
And Slush Force
Goodness
activating
God.
over here, allowing the outspeed onto the Scarf Blastoise, and Rotom hangs on with just red HP. Can it get the KO here? Yes, but with the Infernape, I don't think we're going to be able to win this.
The half attack Rotom against the world, against Infernape. We still got
Can-
Gambit, and there's still the Milotic as well. Being Terra Electric, coming to its advantage now, being able to resist a Thunderbolt from Rotom possibly. But we don't even have to worry about that with Infernape. Finishing
Calling
off
the
the
Sucker
Rotom.
Punch here, going for the Life Dew.
That's an interesting calc. I'd love to see how that goes with the Supreme Overload, or Supreme Overlord, giving it a 20% boost to power. It's kind of curious to see if the Sucker Punch would have actually picked up the KO on this Milotic that's looked pretty bulky so far this match.
Terra Electric Milotic, definitely the MVP for JF Warriors here. Is he going to bring in the next game?
I'm more curious to see if Speedy will decide to change up his game plan. The Blastoise was super critical in game 1, but really didn't get a lot done game 2. Now that all of the techs have kind of been revealed, does he need to rely on a different strategy to try to bring home a victory?
Do we see a Trick Room come out here?
Interesting. We see another Encore trying to catch the
Attempt.
Monkey into a fake out, but Monkey, this Infernape, going for a Poison Jab, triggering the Citrus Berry on Hatterene, but Trick Room is now up.
However, the failure of the Encore here by Grafii stops an Encore from the Alola Tails onto it.
So you can't Encore someone into Encore, so it didn't matter that the Encore from Grafii failed. It's just not a move you can Encore.
Yes, there's a blacklist of moves that Encore is not able to set another mon to be able to call again, and Encore is on that very short list of moves that are just uncallable, unencoreable. Say that 3 times fast. Grafii going for a Protect, Infernape going ahead and using the Terra Ghost. Hatterene starting to do what it wants to do best in these situations, starts to put out some damage, and holding on through the Poison Jab. But a Freeze Drive from Ninetales removes the Hatterene from the field. So it's set the Trick Room, it's got a little bit of damage, but there's still a long ways to go. King Gambit getting a 10% power boost from that first fallen from the Hatterene dying. Ironhead comes in to try to pick up a little bit of damage. JF Warriors trying to protect through these Trick Room turns. And the Encore now coming out, locking in the Grafii.
However, with the Trick Room up, we still do have the speed advantage from Speedy here. Can he bring it back with a few smart plays?
This is still looking really bad, because after this Trick Room expires, Ninetales is still alive, Titan is still alive. So it looks like JF Warriors is going to have a Slush Rush to Titan, probably in prime position going out of these next turns. And if the Fly is still on court, it's not going to be able to reset. But the Titan's gone. It's the roof from the field.
If all the Pokemon on JFS Warrior sites get really low, Sucker Punch could come in clutch. However, we see the Skull Burn onto the King Gambit. Is this it? A really crucial, critical hit from King Gambit's Iron Hit, though, may probably matter here, allowing the Titan to go down. Is that an equal trade, though? I'm not sure.
Gambit being burned probably means that Sucker Punch maybe can pick up a KO on the super effective hit that it'll do onto Infernape, but almost never is it going to be able to kill the Milotic. Even with a crit, I'd be surprised if it actually picks up the KO. Grafai trying to encore the Infernape, doesn't quite get there, but it could do it again this next turn. Will Speedy try to call the Infernape switch?
And a Sword Stance here, trying its best to really come back in its game, along with a Supreme Overlord boost. Can he get a Sucker Punch KO here?
Oh, Speedy's calling that the Infernape is going to switch out and going ahead and encoring the Milotic into Scald, meaning that its damage output is seriously negated. No Freeze Dry into the King Gambit.
However,
Sucker
over here,
incoming.
So pausing over here, we see that actually the actually we do see that the Milotic was going to click Life Deal, a status type move, right, and could not be Sucker Punched into.
Ooh. Unfortunately, though, not calling the Freeze Dry this turn though cost the King Gambit. And we're down to 2-on-2, a half health Infernape, a less than half health Grafai versus a nearly full health Milotic, and a Garganackle.
If there's any Pokemon that can clutch it out, it might be Garganackle.
Sulcure doing extra damage to both the Infernape and the Milotic, but Life Dew is going to be such a hard thing to go through. No Sulcure either. Heading straight for the Rock Slides. Maybe that close combat drop going to cause some problems.
Or close combat, such a strong damaging move. Does not matter.
Garganackle, a bulky mon, but the rock typing really coming back to haunt it.
And this game for JF Warriors.
Good plays, and all around, Warriors made the right calls. Good calls on the protects, didn't overcommit, and played safe to outposition Speedy through games 2 and 3.
Now, that was a really long game. We're 12 minutes in, and that's just the first game.
Now we go to the shorter highlights after this full match, starting in Ultra Ball with Ilya versus Smoliv. This is game 2.
Right, so we see a Custard Berry activation here by the Donphan, getting a quick KO onto the Golden Go, trading out with Revenge Kill by the Overquill, and our Caledon cleaning it up.
It's very cool to see the Custard Barrier. The Custard Berry did a lot of work. It was a nice tech into game 2 to basically get a free KO when Ilya needed it. Being able to pick up the high horsepower into Golden Go. And it's a good use of the berry on a mon like Donphan, who, while being bulky, also still has that sturdy ability in the face of high damage output. So if that Golden Go got set up at some other point during the game, it had that free access to either a Custop Rock Slide, maybe for the Pelipper, or for the high horsepower. And they came out in that position, killing the Golden Go before it could get a turn off.
Got it perfectly set up. He was in Trick Room, so he moved fast with Donphan, and then the moment Trick Room ended, he had his Custard Berry ready to go. It was beautiful. Now to the next game. We're still in Ultra Ball. It's P Popo versus JK Gold.
Actually, pause here just to add on that note for the previous match. Trick Room doesn't matter because Custard Berry gives +1 priority. So even in Trick Room, it would still have gone first.
Yeah, but I mean, the Trick Room ended, Goldango got in safe to move first, and then the Custard procced, so Donphan was still first, outside of Trick Room.
Yes, that makes sense.
Stopped Smoliv from being able to position his way outside of the Trick Room, which was pretty cool. Heading into this match, you have to remind me which player is which.
Fresh Veggies is P Popo, and Breakfast Enjoy is JK Gold.
Okay, so JK has had a rough time so far this game. Pipobobo has put several things to sleep thanks to a gravity hypnosis from Golduck, and Golduck continues to put in work. Simple beam onto the Como-O. It's like we're back in 24. What was that year? 2016. It's
2017.
it's max evolution. Double Omni boost onto the Como-O.
With all the boosts from Kamo here, he's really gonna serve
evening.
up fresh vegetables into breakfast. Enjoy his breakfast.
That's a rough time for Annihilate. Now, interesting interaction there. The Clang Scales actually reduce the Como-O's defense stat by 2 because it is simple. Simple does not only double your stat increases, but also your stat decreases. But it was enough to chunk for almost 180% of combined team HP on just that one turn. Very hard, I imagine, for JK Gold to bring this back around.
And like Andy mentioned at the start, he did knows his gravity stuff, so he got his opponent in a weird spot, so he could finally get in his Kumo safe to Simple Beam it. It was very nice. So now we're going to Great Ball. It's Smoggy versus Radical.
Radical.
This is game 1, turn 1. Roll it.
We see another Flourishes in the recap again, by the way. Last week, using its flower availability to interesting effect to protect Excadrill from getting a stat drop. And we get to see Flourishes' other funny ability, Symbiosis. For those of you who don't know what that does, it means that when an ally uses its item, Flourishes will give its item to that Mon. In this particular instance, Ursaluna is a naturally slow Mon, but never will underspeed a Dusclops. However, Flourishes held onto the Iron Ball, and knowing that Dusclops was going to set up Trick Room, it allowed Ursaluna to use its Throat Spray to gain its special attack boost, and then gives the Ursaluna the Iron Ball, making sure that Ursaluna will actually underspeed the Dusclops and the opposing Ursaluna, who the ground type, the physical Ursaluna, actually is a naturally slower Mon. It is 48 base speed, while Blood Moon is a 50 base speed Mon, so it guarantees that Smoggy's Ursaluna will actually underspeed the naturally slower normal Ursaluna from Reddy's side.
When I drafted Flourishes, I was thinking every week on how I could use Symbiosis or Leaf Guard, right? And none of those games ever resulted in me using those abilities. So real huge props to Smoggy.
I've also tried to draft Flourishes and use those funky abilities, and it just never works out. It's very hard, and it's big props to Smoggy for figuring out how to use those abilities to their best value.
Yeah, it's really cool when something like that lines up. You need to have the plan, and then it also work out. It's nice when those go together. Still in Great Ball, this is Lucian Flash versus Nami now, within game 2.
We see a Meowstic lead along with Oranguru. What are we gonna see here? Psychic Terrain, Expanding Force? What could Meowstic go for?
We can pause here. This is a very high pressure turn on both sides of the field. You've got Meowscarada going for the fake out into Typhlosion. Sunny Day Eruption would do massive amounts of damage, and we don't know right now the speed tiers on those, if the Whimsicott and Meowstic, if they're both running weather, if it's going to be a problem. The fake out just calling the Terra Fire, knowing that it can go ahead and pick up that early damage onto Typhlosion, stop it from locking in the eruption damage.
Funny you say Meowscarada here, because like Meowstic really enabled that Oranguru to really do more damage than Oranguru well, much more impact damage-wise than it normally would in a game.
Normally expect Lucian there to click a Trick Room, but honestly, a Terra Fire's Sunny Day Eruption is probably KOing Oranguru. So the fake out stopping it from being able to get any of that damage off and significantly hindering it for the remainder of that game.
Yeah, it was a nice call and it worked out beautifully. And now we go on to Pokeball, where Mrs. Basculegion is back. So let's roll
A
the clip.
very familiar face on this channel and been an absolute menace through the first 2 weeks of this league. And it looks like we're going to see it again. How can Pokeball adapt to this thing? Because it seems to be doing a lot of work.
Is Basculegion gonna form puddles here, or is it gonna be a huge slip and slide for a slip puddle here?
Skype saving the Mimikyu for a first turn, and Scoville not really doing holy.
You gotta remember here, Scovillain is part fire type, right? It's only neutral.
That's true. Colossal does not want to eat this. Steam Engine does not reduce damage in the slightest, by the way. Cannot
here we
fake out the
go.
Basculation.
Terra,
Cannot fake
which
out the Basculation. Stare at
nuh-uh,
tower,
Stellar.
maintain its normal types. That Basculation is still defensively a water ghost type mon.
And
And
that's
that's just
game.
another ace. It's another
Our
ace.
Caledon didn't even get to do anything.
Didn't need to.
We got to see its shiny form, which is pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen the shiny form of Archaludon, actually. That's pretty neat.
It's like Dialga shiny, but like worse.
You know, I can't argue with that.
So next up we have a fun game in Safari. The Mesprit was in the lead, just stayed on the battlefield, clicking, what is it called? Mystical Power? I can't remember.
Mystical Power.
Yeah,
It
up
is
until plus
signature
6.
move, a signature move for the Lake Trio since they were first introduced, but never really seeing any use. And honestly, I don't even remember really what the move did. The move got a rework going into Scarlet and Violet that it's a 70 base power special move that gives it +1 special attack each time it hits.
Actually, it was not introduced in this generation. It was introduced only in Legends Arceus and was never reworked. There was a new move introduced.
Oh, okay. Good to know. I actually didn't know that. I assumed it was a reworked signature move because I know Latios and Latios got similar treatment with Luster Purge, if I remember right. So I assumed that I assumed that Mystical Power worked the same way.
Actually, Latios does not get Luster Purge, only gets Mist Ball, and Latios gets Luster Purge. And both got
Oh.
reworked.
Well, apparently I need to. Apparently my education has been poor.
Still interesting that it stayed so long on the battlefield to actually go up to +6. Never seen like something like this before. But yeah, I also was new to the move. I was really
We've
surprised
seen
to
a
see it in
lot
that
of
match
very
for the first
cool
time.
Mesprit sets from AK actually. I
True.
believe that was AK if I remember right.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple different sets. Was physical in week 2 in Safari. Mostly as a support mon, but with physical coverage to try to pick up mons because it has the same attack and special attack stat. And then week 3 we get to see it going ahead and just using its special attack. Normally people think about it, especially in the single scape, as a hazard setter and support mon, but it can really set itself up to do a lot of damage if left unchecked.
It was really cool to see. So, and as the last clip, we have something from Premier Ball. It's Jay Chingles versus Mario. I believe you're featuring this Vaporeon.
Wouldn't be the first time I think we've seen Vaporeon here. No, we talked about it last week. We didn't show it off from week 1 where it's single-handedly reverse swept a match.
All right, so Shadow Tag is in play here, right? Trying to keep the Vaporeon in with that Perish Song counter, right? A little Dazzling Gleam coming out, chip damage onto that Diplin. Well, what is Jay Jingles going to be able to do about this Perish counter now?
Perish Trap's a hard mode to have to work through.
The
Vaporeon, we
Klefki.
get to see the Klefki has the Dazzling Gleam, Thunderwave, Reflect, and Light Screen. It's not reducing damage. It's the problem right now. It's getting damage on the field. But going ahead and opting to go for Thunderwave?
Thunderwave coming out here, trying to stop potential moves from the Gothitelle, but is that going to really help in this situation? What can you do here?
I think I saw the Thunderwave actually targeting the Kingdra this turn.
Huge for that switch
Called
in
out
and
the
protect from
Gothitelle to go ahead
Gothitelle.
and protect. Yes, called the Gothitelle protecting to go ahead and Thunderwave the Kingdra.
Right, and what is we're going to see here? A roar, and a roar goes for protect, switching out the Gothitelle, destroying that Shadow Tag, allowing for the free switch out of the Perish Song.
That'll allow both Mons to. Well, yeah, they remove the trap that puts. You now have a normal speed Kingdra because it will not be able to really take advantage of its swift swim ability any longer. And you are free to switch out the Vaporeon.
Not only that, Politoed comes in before the rain stops, kind of like destroying that synergy over there.
Also, I want to point out that Vaporeon was holding a Throat Spray, which is also triggered by Roar, which is just beautiful. It
Ooh,
had already triggered through Luring Voice in this game, but generally, that's really cool tech, I think. So,
Trick Room. So that seems like the type of tech that I need to put more into my team builder when I face Perish Trap.
Definitely. Raw is really helpful. Like, not necessarily Gothitail, sometimes you can just also raw out your own mon. It's a cool move
Or
to
you
have
can
access
Trick Room.
to.
You can also, if you're facing a Trick Room team, Roar is a great tech into Trick Room teams to remove the Trick Room setter, because Roar will move. It's very low priority, but it does still move before Trick Room goes off. I believe Roar and all of the phasing moves sit at -6 stages of priority, while Trick Room sits at -7, if I remember right.
Yeah, so if you're not trying to rent it from a Whimsicott, then yes, it works. But Whimsicott can set up your Trick Room before you move if you're a slow Pokemon. So, but yeah, that's all clips that we have for this week.
Wait, hold
Any
on a
final
second.
remarks or shoutouts?
Hold on a second. Aren't we forgetting that we need a hero?
A hero?
We need a
For week
hero.
1, 3? An MVP? Best Mon? I mean, only one. I mean, I feel
Palafin.
like this is pretty obvious. We got
Oh.
one Mon. A
No,
hero?
we're forgetting the
Oh,
Palafin.
the Palafin? Oh, no, I think we took that Palafin out of this recap. There was a very, very cool Palafin match. I believe it was an Ultra Ball, where baby
it's Great Ball.
Palafin, who's Great Ball? That's right, because Great is great. Great had a lot of very good matches this week. Baby Palafin went on to lead turn 1 and stay on the field and managed to pick up 3 KOs with Jet Punch. No need to be a hero. We don't need a hero. Palafin doesn't need to go anywhere to be a hero. We just picked up 3 KOs. Pretty cool. Neat little situation there. People underrate them on. I'll stand by that.
All right, awesome.
And then if we're going to pick out a week 3 MVP, do we have a week 3 MVP, do we think?
Honestly, that Milotic, that Terra Electric Milotic from SJ Warriors was really cool.
Paralyzing Milotic's really cool. My personal, I think at this point it has, like, my league MVP overall right now is still that Basque Legion. Pokeball has not found an answer for it. It continues to, week in and week out, pick up way more kills than I think anybody ever thought it would.
Yeah, that
It's now
Pokemon
got
might be the
multiple,
overall season MVP.
it has multiple aces under its belt. We're only 3 weeks into the season. And it's single-handedly taken over every game it's played. So I'm hoping to see Pokeball maybe find an answer.
Here's a fun fact. Vacillation just got banned earlier this week from Doubles UU because it was too strong.
I guess we get to see why. Maybe we under-tiered it a little bit.
Well, the format's
If that-
different because 6v6 Last Respects is way stronger, but
Oh, that's true too. I forget about that. 66 last mix is crazy. Well, but thank you all for joining us for this week 3 recap. Keep playing your games. Don't forget to submit through the form your games.
please schedule. If not, I will come for you. Mark my
Goodbye.
words.